So this might be an unpopular opinion, but Terrifier 3 just isn't that good. Directed once again by Damien Leone, Terrifier 3 takes place 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2, well, all but the opening scene. It takes place 5 years later. Our final girl, Sienna Shaw, is trying to get on with her life, as is her younger brother, Jonathan. Sienna has been in and out of mental health institutes. Jonathan seems to be coping a bit better with the brutal events of their past. He is at college. He tends to be living a normal life for all intents and purposes. Sienna, less so. She's just about to move in with her aunt and her aunt's husband. Jonathan's at college, as I said. Everything seems to be going okay for them. That is until Art the clown and his companion Vicky also reappear and murderous torture ensues. Plot-wise, that's pretty much it. So, does Terrifier 3 live up to the hype? Is it any good? No, it's not. Probably an unpopular opinion because I know this movie and this franchise has a lot of fans, but in my opinion, it's just not that good a movie. They are just not that good. What I will say is this is the best of the three, I think. It's definitely the best looking of the three. I would assume this one had a much higher budget than the other two. The first one, in certain scenes, looked very much like a cheap student movie. Second one, less so, and this one, even less so. So that's got something going for it, at least. It looks like a proper movie. But let's talk about things that I did like before we delve into what I didn't like about Terrifier 3. The gore effects, the practical effects are very good. The sound design is also very good and, suitably gross and squelchy sounding. There's a kill in this movie that happens off screen. You don't see the kill, but you do hear the kill. And that scene is probably the most assured, most well-made, most kind of confident scene in the movie. For a movie franchise that's all about, gore, extreme gore, the best scene in the movie is the kill where you don't see it. You only hear it and your imagination fills in the blanks. The sound design there really, really plays a huge part and really, really shines. The acting is actually pretty decent. David Howard Thornton, I think is his name, the guy who plays Art the clown. I mean, he's brilliant. Like his performance as Art, which is completely silent, is really good. Lauren Lavera is quite believable as well, again as Sienna Shaw, and Elliot Fulham as Jonathan is better than he was in Terrifier 2, but he was much younger then. He's definitely better in this one. I think it's commendable that the filmmakers have created such an iconic character in such a short space of time. Art the clown and Vicky, to a lesser extent, have cemented themselves in kind of pop culture lexicon, at least in the horror community, as a character who's here to stay, I think, as well as Sienna Shaw, the final girl, played by Lauren Lavera. Side note, I was working at a Comic-Con a few weeks ago, just a general Comic-Con, but quite a big one in Edinburgh here in Scotland. I saw much more Sienna Shaw cosplayers than I did Art the Clown. I think I must have saw at least half a dozen Sienna Shaw cosplayers, and I think I only saw one or two Art the Clown characters. So I think that's a testament to the actors and the filmmakers in terms of they've created these iconic characters. But that kind of leads me to one of my main problems with this movie and with this franchise, but more so part 2 and part 3. They're good characters. I just want to see them in better movies. Ironically, and this is completely sidetracked here, I felt the same way about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the last film from Quentin Tarantino. I thought the characters were great, but I just thought the movie was a snail's-paced snooze fest until the last 20 minutes or so. I never thought I'd be comparing Terrifier 3 to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but there you go. One of the things that I didn't like, one of the things that I don't think works well in this movie is the supernatural element. In the first one, I don't think there was any supernatural element apart from maybe the very, very, very end. The second one started to introduce a little bit of kind of supernatural lore, but it didn't really expand on it or compound on it or explain it. I feel like they either need to lean into the supernatural element more and give us more of an explanation, more of more exposition, or dial it back a bit and keep it more grounded. The the flashback scenes in this with Jason Patric as Sienna's dad just felt like they were out of place. They felt like they were in a different movie, and they didn't really make that much sense. They looked totally different. They had a different tone to them. They just, yeah, it stood out as being out of place. Like, I don't know if that was reshoots or if it was like part of something else. I don't know, something about it just didn't sit right with me. Gore for the sake of gore kind of reminded me of some of the latter Saw sequels, or the middle Saw sequels, and the Hostel movies, at least Hostel Part 2. I remember when the Saw movies were coming out, and when Hostel Part 2 were coming out, the media referred to them as torture porn. It's not as shocking as the media would make it out to be. I think the marketing department is really leaning into the shock factor here. But yeah, gore for the sake of gore, when it's not like furthering the story, just seems a bit gratuitous. Yeah, it was largely marketing hype, and it looks like the marketing has done a great job because the movie's doing good numbers. I still can't believe it's doing better than Joker 2, which I've not seen yet, so can't really compare that. Other than art in Sienna, the characters, the actors, I don't think they do a great job. The dialogue and the script is quite cringy at times. It doesn't ring true at all, and it's quite cringy at times. It feels like they come up with the kills to show off, like, what they can do practically wise, and how they can make these gruesome death scenes, gruesome murders, and then they just like create a story around them to kind of like loosely tie them together. Which, to be fair, you could say that about a lot of horror movies, past and present. Speaking of past and present and future, if you want to see more reviews like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. The shower scene, the now infamous shower scene. It's been talked a lot about online. I think the way they shot this and how they made this very gruesome kill on a male as opposed to a female this time was done deliberately. In the first and second movie, the standout kills was Art murdering a female with little clothes on. So there's obviously that connotation to it. I think in this one, the shower scene, even though there's a man and a woman, it's the man that gets the bulk of the ultimate gore and brutality. I don't think that's an accident. I think that's a response to some of the criticism levied at parts 1 and part 2. So yeah, there's part 3 has equal opportunity gender kills. So yeah, not a huge fan of Terrifier 3, wasn't a huge fan of 1 or 2 either. I have added them to my collection though, because the characters are iconic. Like I said, I like these characters. I just want to see them in a better movie. I am intrigued where they'll go with a part 4, if they do indeed make a part 4. I won't go into too many spoilery details there, but it did kind of remind me of the end of Evil Dead, leading into Army of Darkness. So, it'll be interesting to see if and when we get a part 4, where they go with it. As much as I didn't like them, I'll still check out part 4, if they make a part 4. But if you liked Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2, you'll like Terrifier 3, especially if you liked Terrifier 2, because this is more of a direct sequel to Terrifier 2. Yeah, but wasn't a huge fan myself. I'm going to give Terrifier 3 4 out of 10. For context, I would give Terrifier 1 3 out of 10 and Terrifier 2 4 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of Terrifier 3. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.